Hello and welcome to the first topic and week of Hebrew syntax over the summer. I'm going to try to do these introductory videos each week to just give you an idea of kind of where we're headed, highlight some of the main points that you might want to be aware of, and just overall kind of give you a picture of the week and the topics. This week we're going to cover chapters 26 and 27, and so we'll kind of roll through some of this material for you. In chapter 26, we're going to look at the relative clause, circumstantial clause, and the comparative superlative. This is primarily going to be grammar syntactical discussion, so not a lot of constructions parsing here. A good introductory chapter into the second semester of Dr. Fuller's material. Get this under your belt fairly well, but know that we probably won't address a lot of this stuff again this term. It'll be more toward the Jonah translation where you may use this material, but overall we won't be quizzed on it. You won't be turning in drill sheets for chapter 26. So learn this, learn it well, but again just know that it's not something that we'll return back to again. Even though we don't have drill sheets or homework for chapter 26, we do have some assignments for that section. Those are listed here on our Moodle page. I do want you to take a quiz on the call paradigm. This is going to be primarily because you've got to have the call paradigm down cold. The perfect, imperfect, imperative, jussive, cohortatives, participles, all of that we need to have down cold. The reason for that is that a lot of our material this semester is going to be the anomalies to the normal. And so we've got to know the normal well so that we know how to take care of the anomalies. So I want you to know the call paradigm well, and I want you to know the strong verb derived stems boxes well. This is section 22.6. Both of these you should have used in Dr. Fuller's system regularly to create verbs and parse verbs. But just as we introduce this material and kind of roll into the second term, I want you to take a quiz on each of those to just nail those down. So those will be due this week as well. Here is review sheet 8. This is another piece that I want you to do this week. This is page 82, I believe, in your workbook. Again, this is just reviewing the material from the last semester, getting that stuff back under your belt on the steps of creation. Give me the boxes, give me the thematic vowel colors, then give me the call, and work any adjustments that you may need to after that. So we'll do review sheet 8 and turn that in as well. Remember to give me all steps on the creations. You don't have to give me all steps on the parses. If you can look at it and parse it, write it down. That'd be great. But on the creates, I do want all of the steps there. So complete that on your own paper and then submit that to the link via a scanned PDF or a legible JPEG, please. And that link is available here at the bottom. You can see their Review 8 submission. In Chapter 27, we're going to move into attaching pronominal suffixes to the verb. And we're going to look specifically at the perfect stem, or the perfect tense, rather. Now this is where it gets a little bit dicey. In Chapter 27, I've heard Dr. Betts say before that chapter 27 and 28 are the hardest chapters in this book, and that is possibly true just because of all of the anomalies and different things that we need to learn. But get these down well, and I think you'll be fine. I want to highlight a few things for you here. The protoforms, you'll find those on page 169 in your textbook, and I've highlighted those here. These are going to be important that you know the protoforms. If our first step in constructions or adding endings is going to be the proto, the places where the verb forms have an odd protoform, we need to know that so that we can start in the correct place. So learn these well, pay close attention to those. The second thing I want to highlight is the accented syllable and the vowel reduction pattern. And again, this is highlighted in your textbook. It crosses a couple of pages there, so I've just taken a screenshot of both of them in my PDF document. But check out the accented syllable. That's going to be important because a lot of our rules on the vowel reduction patterns are based on where the tonic syllable is, right? We have a pre-tonic open syllable requires a long vowel, or open pre-tonic requires long. Closed unaccented requires short. So we need to know where the tonic is in order to run those rules. So check those things out. And then also related to the vowel reduction pattern, You can see here that the call perfect suffixes follow the noun reduction pattern. Now this is our normal reduction pattern that you've seen regularly throughout last semester. I label it like this: capel, opral, curse, opes, oops. And what we get there is closed accented prefers long, open pretonic requires long, closed unaccented requires short, open accented prefers short, and then originally open propretonic reduces the short vowel to a vocal schwa. So those are normal to you. You've seen those before in Dr. Fuller's method and system, but just know that the call perfect will reduce according to what we call noun reduction rules. We do want to make a distinction here because the PIEL will reduce according to what we call a verbal reduction pattern. Now this is not odd to you. You've seen this before. Particularly with vocalic endings, the kamets he or the shurik. And here's where you've seen those. The first one is in the 3FS call perfect, katala. You have the also 3CP call perfect. Both of these have the schwa in the R2 position. So the original patach there has reduced to a vocal schwa because of the vocalic ending. Now you know that's a phony hey, so the ending being vocalic means that the word ends in a vowel, namely the kamets underneath the lamed. The hey is phony, it doesn't exist. Here we have the schwa because again we have a vocalic ending. The word itself ends only in a vowel, namely the shurik. So we get the R2 reduction. This is what we're going to call a verbal reduction pattern, and we're going to see that in the PIEL as we attach suffixes to the PIEL. So that'll be important to be sure and make that distinction. Special problems. There's going to be a section in each of these chapters labeled special problems or special considerations. Pay close attention to those. These are typically the most frustrating anomalies, and Dr. Fuller in the drill sheets and in the homework does like to give you the ones that are frustrating. So pay attention to these. I'll try to help you with these and point them out as we go, but these will be, it'll be good to understand those. So check those out. As it relates to the derived stems with this chapter, we mentioned the PIEL, that one of the anomalies there, things we want to pay attention to, is that it reduces according to the verbal reduction pattern, namely the R2 reduces to a vocal schwa. So remember that, and Dr. Fuller will give you a couple of examples of that in the chapter material. And then also the HIFIL. The HIFIL never reduces its thematic vowel, and that is because the thematic vowel is a long, historic long vowel here at Yod. Or it may also be in a closed unaccented syllable which requires a short vowel. It would stay short and not reduce to a vocal schwa. So one of those two reasons the HIFIL does not reduce, so be aware of that as well. The reason we're looking primarily at the PIEL and the HIFIL in this chapter is because what we're attaching to the verbs is a direct object. So he killed him. That him is the pronominal suffix that we're adding to the verb. So we're adding a direct object. If you think about stems like the hofal, the pual, the hitbael, the reflexive passive stems, the nifal, those don't really have an object, or the object is the subject as well. It's a reflexive passive kind of object. So in this chapter, because we're adding an object, we're primarily going to be dealing with the PIEL and HIFIL as it relates to the other derived stems outside of the call. One odd PIEL form that I want to highlight here for you is a PIEL 3MS perfect plus a 2MS suffix. And Dr. Fuller goes through this one in the video, but I wanted to just highlight it for you. We have this as our proto form. Remember that the thematic vowel for the PIEL third persons is actually an E, sere. Bikesh is what we would have. Go back to the proto form, we take that long sere E and make it a heroic I. And we get bikish then in the proto form. Once we add the box, where's my box? There it is. Once we add the box, then we get the 2MS suffix, and you can find that on page 170 in the chapter book, in the chapter of the book. Add the box there. Then we're now going to establish the accent, and the accent on this one is over the final cough. So then we start to run reduction rules. Okay, the schwa underneath the kof becomes vocal based on our verbal reduction rules, and then the schwa underneath the shin, this one is the political schwa, so it kind of works both ways. And I believe, yeah, I've got some arrows here. So these two guys here. The one underneath the shin is a political schwa. It's vocal enough that we need to have a schwa fight, but it's not silent enough to close the syllable. So it kind of works a little bit both ways here. But what we end up with is basically two vocal schwas side by side, and we get a schwa fight. This time leading to a sigol, not a heric. So keep that in mind. A little bit of an anomaly there, a little bit of an oddity. Pay attention to that one. I know that's one form that Dr. Fuller highlights specifically when he gets to the PIEL forms, so pay attention to that as well. As it relates to the assignments for Chapter 27, we're going to do the 2 drill sheets. Remember, we're just doing the first 2 drill sheets for each chapter. I do want you to do all of those. I want you to show all of your work, and then please submit those to the links on Moodle with a scanned PDF or a legible JPEG. Also, we're going to take the Chapter 27 quiz. Remember, on the quizzes for the chapters, we are only going to be responsible for the final 2 sections, the create and parse section and the vocabulary section. These may be cumulative, but they primarily are going to deal with the material we have in this chapter. So disregard the addition of suffixes to nouns, the addition of the article, min prepositions, those kinds of things. You can go ahead and skip to the end. So those will be due for Chapter 27. Finally, I want to show you this resource that I've made available to you. It is available on our Moodle page. It looks something like that, though in the context of the page it won't look like that. But this is available there. This is a worksheet that I made when I took syntax that basically I could already have the boxes made, and I could over and over and over and over again just write out that chart on page 170 in section 27.4. This helped me to memorize these suffixes and learn them well. So use that if it's helpful for you. If you can just look at it and memorize it, great. But if that chart is helpful for you to print out and just again and again and again write out that chart, then go for it. Here is a picture of the chart that I took from my textbook. And I wanted to show you one thing here. The one thing I did here is I added that comments into the 3FS forms. This is, I put a note there too to see specific problems number 1. So this is one of the specific problems that Dr. Fuller addresses, that the original patach under the 3rd root letter in these forms does lengthen. Now, it is an accented syllable, if you'll notice the box where the accent is. But open accented syllables prefer short vowels. They don't require them. And so this is an instance where it does lengthen. Now the reason I put the comments on the box here is so that I would just memorize it with the comments on the box. I don't have to think about a specific problem. I don't have to go back later and think, oh my, I'm dealing with a 3FS verb with a 3 or a 2FS suffix. You know, do I need to lengthen? Do I not need to lengthen? I don't know. Just memorize the box with that long comments there in each of these cases, and you'll be fine on that specific problem. So good luck this week. Enjoy the work. Enjoy the Lord in the work. Let me know what questions you have, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week.